I still remember the morning when everything began. The sun was barely rising, and the air was cold enough to sting my skin. But the real coldness came from something else, the words I had been hearing all my life. People always called me useless, someone who could never achieve anything, someone who wasn't meant to dream. I stood outside my small, broken house, holding an empty metal pot, and for the first time, I didn't feel shame holding it. I felt possibility. I whispered to myself, maybe I can try, just once, even if everyone thinks I can't. And with that one small breath, I walked toward the street corner where I wanted to start my tiny soup stall. When I reached the place, the world was quiet. A few shopkeepers were opening their shutters, stray dogs sniffed at the trash, and the sky was still waking up. I placed my old stove on a wooden crate and set the pot down. The metal clank echoed sharply, almost like the world announcing the beginning of something. My hands shook as I prepared the vegetables, lit the fire, and stirred the broth. Every scent rising from the pot felt like a little light pushing away the darkness inside me. But people don't like when someone they look down on tries to rise. The first group of boys laughed at me, pointing at my small stove and calling me useless again. I didn't respond. I kept stirring, pretending their words were just wind passing by. But inside, something cracked. Then an elderly man came by. His clothes were worn, and he looked tired, but he smiled when he smelled the soup. He called it peaceful. That one word, peaceful, felt like a warm blanket on my freezing heart. He bought the first bowl. He walked away slowly, and that small moment gave me more strength than anything else. But life never lets peace last long. Women passing by insulted me. Some laughed at me. Some said I was embarrassing myself by selling soup on the road. I stayed silent, but inside, I whispered, "One day, you'll see." Later that day, a black luxury car stopped near my stall. A woman stepped out, confident, rich, dressed like someone who owned the world. She introduced herself as the owner of the Royal Bowl, the most famous soup restaurant in the city. She didn't taste my soup. She didn't ask anything. She simply called my stall garbage and told me to shut it down. She said the street belonged to her brand, and someone like me didn't deserve to be here. I said no. She laughed and said, "Let's see how long you survive." That moment marked the beginning of everything. The next day, I noticed strange men in black shirts standing across the street. They didn't eat, they didn't speak, they just watched me. Every time a customer came near, someone whispered something in their ear, and they walked away. I barely sold anything. I went home hungry and heartbroken, but Roshni Auntie sat with me outside my door and reminded me that courage scares the powerful. She told me not to give up because she had seen something in my eyes that even I hadn't seen yet. The next morning, Mina arrived, a girl I grew up with. She worked at the Royal Bowl now. She told me Madam could give me a job there if I shut my stall. She said girls like us never rise. Her jealousy dripped from every word. But when I refused, she leaned closer and whispered that Madam was planning something big to destroy me completely. By the end of the day, government officers appeared, claiming someone had filed complaints about my stall. They took my stove, my pot, everything. They drove away with my entire dream in the back of their truck. I returned home feeling shattered. But that night, something changed inside me. I started writing in an old notebook. Find a new place, start again, fight quietly. I walked around the city the next morning, looking for somewhere no one controlled. Eventually, I found a small, empty corner near an old bus stop. Poor people gathered there, tired workers, mothers with hungry children, people who needed warmth more than taste. That's where I decided to rise again. I found a scrap seller and bought an old rusty stove and a dented pot. He gave me vegetables for free. I set up in the new corner and started cooking. The smell flowed through the air, and slowly people started coming. The first worker who tasted it said it reminded him of home. Children came after school. Mothers whispered blessings. For the first time, I felt like I belonged somewhere. But when Mina saw the crowd, she warned me Madam wouldn't let me survive. I didn't let fear break me. The following days, even in the midst of struggle, miracles happened. A boy brought me vegetables. A garage owner offered me space to expand. People shared my story. My stall grew silently, bowl by bowl. But Madam returned. This time she didn't threaten privately. She publicly attacked me with printed pamphlets accusing me of selling unsafe soup. She wanted to humiliate me. But the people I fed stood in front of me and defended me. I didn't fight with anger. I fought with truth. And the city began to choose my honesty over her arrogance. But Madam wasn't done. She filed an official complaint and brought health inspectors to shut me down. For the first time, I spoke up. I told the truth in front of everyone. The officers inspected everything and found no fault. They scolded Madam for filing false complaints. And that day, for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Not anger, not pride, fear. After that, her own staff exposed her unclean kitchen, expired vegetables, and abusive behavior. The royal bowl went under investigation. Customers left. Newspapers printed stories. The city whispered her downfall. And one day, Madam came to my stall, broken, trembling, and in tears. She tasted my soup and said it brought her peace. She apologized. She kneeled. I didn't humiliate her. I helped her stand and told her the truth. Revenge isn't destroying someone. Revenge is rising so high that they destroy their own arrogance. The days that followed the inspection felt different. Not lighter, not easier, but filled with a new kind of strength. People still came to my little stall, still smiled when they tasted the soup, still found comfort in that simple warm bowl. I wasn't the girl standing alone at the street corner anymore. I was becoming someone people turned to, someone people trusted. Every morning, I woke before sunrise and prepared everything carefully. My stove, my dented pot, my vegetables, all simple, all honest. As the aroma filled the air, people would gather even before I opened. A man who worked at the construction site told me he now set his morning schedule based on when my soup was ready. School children would wait excitedly, calling it their energy bowl. Mothers would bring their kids and say my soup felt like a hug. I couldn't explain it, but it felt like I was creating more than food. I was creating a small island of peace in a tired city. But peace never lasts long around people obsessed with control. Madam noticed how quietly and quickly my stall was growing. She saw the crowds, she saw the smiles, she saw how people walked past her giant restaurant to come to my small soup corner instead, and she couldn't handle it. To her, my rise wasn't just inconvenient, it was insulting. In her world, someone like me was never supposed to stand beside someone like her. My existence was a challenge. But something else was changing too. People around me were showing kindness in ways I never expected. The garage owner cleaned a space for me. He put a shade so customers didn't have to stand in the sun. A young boy brought vegetables because his boss believed in me. Even strangers defended me. One evening, when I was closing the stall, Mina came again. This time, her voice wasn't mocking, it was scared. She told me Madam wasn't just angry now, she felt threatened, that Madam was planning something bigger than before. Her warnings didn't shake me. Fear used to control me, but not anymore. I had survived everything she threw earlier. Now I had people behind me. Now I had a place where I belonged. Now I had a purpose so strong that no threat could stop it. That night, I sat down with my small notebook and wrote plans, not dreams, but real plans. Add new soup flavors, improve hygiene even more, help old and hungry people for free, keep the stall bright and clean, smile no matter how hard the day was, and most importantly, grow silently. Not to compete, but to build something meaningful. Every day afterward, I made 2 more soup flavors. A spicy one for the workers who liked heat, a mild one for the elderly. People loved it. My corner became busier. Someone brought their friend from 2 streets away. Someone told the rickshaw drivers. People started calling it miracle soup. I never claimed any magic, but they said the soup made them feel lighter, calmer, stronger. Maybe because I poured hope into every bowl. One day, a woman came secretly and whispered that she worked at the Royal Bowl. She said their food was expensive and tasteless. She said her boss treated employees badly. She said she came only for 1 bowl and begged me not to tell anyone. She slipped away quickly, and that moment made me realize something powerful. Madam's empire wasn't strong. It was cracking from the inside. Each day that my stall grew, hers shrank. Each day that someone smiled at my soup, someone else turned away from her cold, fancy place. My revenge wasn't about hurting her. It was about rising for myself. And that rising was louder than any attack. But growth brings attention, and attention brings trouble. One afternoon, a group of officials came inspecting street vendors. My heart raced, but instead of hiding, I stood proudly. They checked everything, my ingredients, my water, my pot, and left silently. They found nothing wrong. That day, I realized something important. Truth protects those who stand with it. But Madam wasn't done. She used influence again and pushed a bigger team of officers toward my stall. They came with trucks, files, uniforms, just like last time. But something was different now. I wasn't alone. A crowd immediately formed around me. People stood like a human shield. Mothers, workers, children, old men. They argued with officers. They defended me loudly. Some said my soup helped them survive hard days. Others said it was cleaner than most restaurants. The officers were overwhelmed. Madam watched from across the street, expecting me to fall a den. But instead, I stepped forward and spoke, for the first time in front of a crowd. My voice shook at first, but I didn't stop. I told them I had nothing, not a big kitchen, not a brand, not money, but I had honesty. I said I cooked with care because I knew what hunger feels like. I said I never cheated anyone. And for the first time, I wasn't speaking to defend myself. I was speaking to claim my place. The officers inspected everything again, and this time they said it publicly. My stall was clean, safe, and honest. They added that false complaints could lead to punishment. Madam's face turned pale. Her confidence broke like glass. She walked away, defeated, and for the first time, I saw fear, not anger, in her eyes. That night, someone from the municipal office came quietly and told me everything. Madam had submitted fake reports. She had pressured officers, but now her lies were being investigated. And that wasn't all. Someone from her restaurant had filed an anonymous complaint against her. Photos of rats, spoiled vegetables, unhygienic kitchens, everything was being exposed. Her kingdom was falling apart. I didn't celebrate. I didn't laugh. I didn't even feel revenge. I only felt a strange calmness, a justice that moved slowly but arrived surely. I realized she wasn't just fighting me, she was fighting her own darkness. Her downfall didn't come from me. It came from the truth she tried so hard to hide. My stall continued to grow quietly. People came with love, some brought small gifts, some brought vegetables, some brought words that melted my heart. Every day, I felt the city choosing me, not because I was perfect, but because I was human. But the real moment was yet to come, the moment when Madame herself would stand in front of me, broken, helpless, and unrecognizable. The morning her empire felt like any other. Soft sunlight, the quiet hum of buses, the smell of vegetables cutting through the air. I started cooking as usual, stirring my pot with steady hands. But that day, something was different. People around me were whispering more than usual, murmuring words I didn't catch until someone placed a newspaper on my counter. The headline almost made me drop the ladle. The Royal Bowl under investigation for unhygienic practices. The article had photos, rats in the storage room, moldy shelves, spoiled vegetables stacked behind shiny counters. Employees had confessed to being forced to use expired ingredients. The same employees Madame had treated like dust, the same people she expected loyalty from. The truth was finally leaking out of the cracks she had been covering for years. It wasn't my victory. It was her truth catching up to her. My stomach twisted. I didn't feel joy or revenge. I felt something heavier, like witnessing a storm destroy its own creator. As the day went on, customers kept coming, even more than usual. They laughed, cheered, and told me I deserved this moment. But their happiness didn't settle in my heart. I served bowls mechanically, my mind stuck on the headline. By late afternoon, when the sun softened, I heard a shift in the air. People around me went silent. I looked up, and my breath caught. Madame was walking toward my stall. But this wasn't the woman I had seen before. Her expensive dresses, her confident posture, her sharp expressions, all gone. Her hair was tied loosely, her eyes swollen, her steps unsteady. She looked like someone who had aged 10 years overnight. People moved aside for her, but not out of respect, out of shock. She stopped in front of me. No guards, no staff, no arrogance, just a broken woman with trembling lips. "They turned against me," she whispered, her voice so soft the wind could have carried it away. I didn't speak. She looked at the newspaper clutched in her shaking fingers. My staff, my customers, everyone abandoned me. I watched her struggle to breathe, as if the weight of her own actions was crushing her chest. "How did you do this?" she asked, her voice cracking. "How did you destroy everything I built?" For a moment, I simply stared at her. Then I said quietly, "I didn't destroy anything. Your lies did." She blinked. Tears rolled down her face. "You used power to crush people," I said. "But power doesn't last when it's built on fear. People don't stay loyal to arrogance. They stay loyal to honesty." Her shoulders shook. I never thought someone like you could..." She couldn't finish the sentence. "You mean someone poor? Someone small? Someone you thought was useless?" My mind completed for her. But I didn't say it. There was no need. Before I could speak again, I saw Mina standing behind her. But she wasn't smirking now. Her eyes were red. Her face was full of regret. She stepped forward slowly. "Didi," she whispered, looking at me, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I'm sorry. I didn't know Madame's complaints would destroy your life like that. I thought I was helping her, not hurting you." Her voice broke halfway, and she covered her face. A few months ago, those words would have felt satisfying. Now, they just felt sad. "You didn't destroy me," I said softly. "You destroyed your kindness. You forgot we grew up together." She cried harder, nodding silently, stepping aside. Madam stood there, breathing heavily. "I don't know what to do," she whispered. "My restaurant, my name, my reputation, all ruined." I looked at her, not with anger, but clarity. Then, maybe, it's time to rebuild, not with fear, but with honesty. She stared at me like she didn't understand the sentence. I picked up a bowl of soup, filled it, and placed it in front of her. Her eyes widened. For me?" "For you," I said. She held the bowl like it was fragile. She took a small sip, and as the warmth spread through her, she closed her eyes and let tears fall openly. "This tastes like peace," she whispered. The same words the old man once said. The same peace I found when I cooked with sincerity. She looked at me again. Her voice trembled. "I'm sorry, truly." Before I could respond, she slowly lowered herself, kneeling on the ground. People around gasped sharply. The same woman who once made the city bow to her was now kneeling in front of the girl she tried to erase. "I don't want to fight anymore," she said through tears. "I want to change. I want to start again, not as a queen, just as a human." Silence settled across the entire street. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Stand up," I said gently. "Revenge isn't making someone kneel. Revenge is rising so high that they see their own mistakes." She lifted her head slowly, stunned by my words. With trembling hands, she stood up. Without saying anything else, she turned and walked away. Broken, humbled, but maybe ready to begin again. People around me exhaled, some nodding, some wiping tears, some simply staring at me as if seeing me for the first time. Not as a soup seller, not as a girl on the street, but as someone who stood up against cruelty without losing humanity. Days passed, weeks passed. My stall kept growing. The garage owner extended my space. A local blogger wrote about me. A small online article called my stall Miracle Street Soup. People traveled from other neighborhoods to taste it. Some said it healed their mood. Some said it reminded them of lost loved ones. Some said it made them feel alive again. I didn't know if all that was true, but I knew I was giving people something real. Madam didn't disappear. She rebuilt her restaurant slowly and honestly. She apologized to her employees. She fixed her kitchen. She reduced her prices. She worked quietly, without shouting orders. One day, she even sent someone to buy potatoes from me. It didn't feel like victory or defeat. It felt like balance. Because sometimes the only way to change a person is to hold up a mirror. And sometimes the only way to win is to rise without stepping on others. One night, as I sat on the floor of my house counting the day's earnings, I opened my old notebook. I flipped through the pages filled with plans I wrote while crying, while shaking, while forcing myself not to give up. At the very end, I wrote, "Revenge is not destroying someone. Revenge is rising so high that the world sees truth on its own." I closed the notebook gently. My story began with humiliation, but it ended with transformation. Not just mine, but of everyone who crossed my path. And as the night breeze entered my small home, carrying the soft smell of soup I'd cooked earlier, I whispered to myself, "They called me useless, but I became unforgettable."